Hi, welcome everybody. I'm just waiting for everybody to log into the room. Welcome to our webinar tonight, our Nourishing Conversations with Jules. Hi, Jules.
Hi, Leah. How are you going?
Good. So while we're just waiting for everyone to log into the room, I'll just get everyone to chat into the little chat box if you can hear us okay. So if you can hear us okay, just put that into the little chat box. Hopefully that's working. It's always that freaky first 5 minutes of the webinar, whether anybody's listening to you out there or not. So let us know if you can hear us.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go through a little bit of troubleshooting. So, well, what is a nourishing conversation? You know, nourishing conversations are those conversations that you have with real people about real food, health, and movement. And you know, when you meet someone and you start talking to them about something you're really passionate about and you really get each other and the conversation is just so healthy and positive, well, that's what I call a nourishing conversation. And with a lot of our events through Brisbane Paleo, we found people really wanted to have that vital question and answer time with guest speakers. And so to facilitate this, we have created this space, which is the online webinars, where from the comfort of your own browser, you can listen and talk, you know, provide chat with your favorite speakers, and you don't have to even leave your house. So that's the really good thing about it. Oh, look, everybody's logged in and they can all hear us. That's excellent. Yay. That's fantastic. Oh, Wendy says she can't hear anything. So actually what I will do is in a minute I'll pop up another link, so if anyone has any trouble they can re-log back in again. So just try logging back in again. Now, sometimes you might hear a bit of a delay. That can be at anyone's end. You know, like it could be my computer, it could be your computer. We don't really know, so just bear with the delay. It's just the nature of the webinar. If for some bizarre chance I get disconnected, everybody just stay on the line. Don't come off. Wait till I get connected back again. Usually when the presenters get disconnected, it's a bit pretty major. But if you get disconnected, just reconnect back in. And if there's any other problems, there'll be a replay sent out to everybody within the next hour after we finish. So hopefully in one way or another, you'll be able to listen in. So a bit about Jules. I'm just going to bring up my bio. So Jules Galloway, she is on a mission to take the fear and boredom out of gluten, dairy, and sugar-free living. I just love that. She holds a Bachelor Health Science in Naturopathy and is currently a member of the Australian Natural Therapists Association. She specializes in food coaching, weight loss, paleo diets, gluten-free diets, food allergy and intolerance testing, and tired, stressed, and worn-out women. I think that's me. She grew up in a household where 2 of her members had celiac disease, and she thought she had dodged the genetic bullet. Yet for years she suffered with recurring illnesses and infections, low energy levels, anxiety, depression, and mood swings. In her late 20s, she decided enough was enough, and she embarked on her own healing journey. It wasn't an easy path. She had to transition from her old life of takeaway meals, all-night parties, and punishing her liver to whole food eating, juices and smoothies, and more raw foods and yoga. But the results were amazing and were enough to keep her motivated. She had never felt so good. Jules wants to introduce as many people as possible to the exciting new way of eating and living, to bust through old nutrition myths and misinformation and teach a fresh approach to choosing the right foods, and above all, to show you that it's easier than you think to lead a happy, healthy, whole food life. Welcome, Jules.
Thank you. It's so lovely to be introduced like that. I think I might just put you in my pocket and take you everywhere.
Thank you. Well, I just love you. Ever since we met down in Byron and we got to share Low Carb Down Under together, I've been, you know, just love, you know, seeing what you're doing, and we're not that far away from each other. So I'm so excited to have you on the webinar tonight.
Yay, thank you so much for organising this. And I'm really stoked. Like, the response has actually been quite amazing, which tells me this is a hot topic too. So yeah, let's get stuck in.
Okay, well, I'm just going to mute off, and I'll talk to you later on.
Okay. Thank you. So before we just launch straight into it, just go and grab a pen and paper if you can, because I'm just going to do a very quick quiz in a moment. So I've just got to bring up my PowerPoint presentation. There it is. Now, can everybody see that? Hopefully they can. Okay. Leah, can you still see that?
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
You can. Awesome. Okay. Because yeah, this, just bear with me. This is the first time I've used Webinar Jam. I normally use a different platform, so I'm still learning too. Have you got like the big?
It's not full screen, so I think.
Is it full screen now?
No, it's not.
Okay. Interesting.
There might be a little function which says you can take control as the screen and presenter.
Is it? It's not showcase, is it? It's this one that says screen share.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what's going on.
I think we can see it enough anyway to get started, but I think everyone's saying that they can see it, so that's good. That's good news. Yeah.
Good enough. You'll also get the sneak preview of the next slide that's coming, so yay. All right, so let's get stuck in. So hopefully you've got your pen and paper, and I'd just like you to write down, you know, a little dash for each time you suffer from one of the following, and then what we're going to do at the very end is we're going to add it all up. So I've got 12 questions here, so here we go. Do you have trouble sleeping, or do you ever wake feeling unrefreshed? So the next one. Do you suffer from a lack of energy throughout the day? Do you become stressed by little things at the drop of a hat? I know I did this morning when my internet decided it didn't want to work for 2 hours. Do you often feel frazzled, anxious, or easily startled? Now that could be for no reason as well. Okay, next up. Do you suffer from PMS or menopausal symptoms? Do you find yourself craving either sugar or caffeine throughout the day, every day? This is a good one. Is your sex drive down the gurgler? Are you becoming more forgetful? Do you catch more colds and flus than you used to? And coming into winter, this is a really good time to ask this question because you might already have caught your first one for the season. Have you gained weight that just will not budge no matter what you do? And we were talking about that before, that sometimes people even put on weight when they're trying to lose it. Do you feel the cold easily? And do you regularly suffer from either headaches or back pain? Now, what I'd like you to do is just add up how many yeses you had just there. And we're going to run a little poll. So, first of all, I'll tell you the results. If it's 0 to 2, well, you lucky bugger. I'm not even sure what you're doing here. You know, maybe you're in the wrong webinar. 3 to 6, you're on your way to adrenal fatigue, so it's best to do something about it now before it's too late. If you've answered 7 to 9 yeses, this is when things are starting to look a little bit more serious, and we do need to start really, you know, pulling our heads in and take some action before you go any further down that path. If you have gone further down that path and you've answered yes to 10 to 12 questions, then my question to you would be, how long do you honestly think you can keep this up? Because it's really becoming obvious that your health is suffering. So we need to do something about this urgently, because where do you think it's going to go from here? So, Leah, can we just run a quick poll on how many yeses people got? I'd love to know how many people scored 0 to 2.
So currently there's 0% at 0 to 2. So those lucky people are probably enjoying some sleep and some sex probably right now. The 3 to 6s, they're 31%. 7 to 9 is 44%. So that's the biggest category there. And 10 to 12 is 25%.
Yep. Yep. So that big category is quite the danger zone, isn't it? That 7 to 9 category. So things are starting to look more serious. You know you have to do something about it. Like, you know that you're not going to get away with it for much longer. So you're definitely in the right place. The good news is I'm here to help. So I better get on with this webinar and show you a little bit about how to reverse this adrenal fatigue issue. So what is adrenal fatigue? So we all kind of know that it's fatigue and it's got something to do with our adrenals being out of whack, but what exactly is it? So our adrenals are these two little glands and they sit on top of your kidneys. And when they sit on top of your kidneys, they help to control many functions and reactions in the body. So they're actually in charge of a lot of stuff. They kind of run the inner engine of our bodies. And they can do things like help us respond to stress. They help with hormone production. They actually run the metabolism center in the body as well. So they help to regulate metabolism. They control sleep. They help with thyroid function. And they also help with reproduction. So all those lovely reproductive hormones as well. So the issue with our adrenals is that they are really designed to help us, but they're a very, very primitive system from many, many, many years ago. And so what's actually happened is we've got this very primitive system trying to help us out in what we now have as a very, very modern life. So our adrenals are actually designed to do a really amazing job. And what they do is they pump out things like cortisol and adrenaline, which are stress hormones, in response to acute stress. And this is what we call our fight or flight response. So our fight or flight response is something that is designed to give us energy and to make us fast and strong and powerful in response to stress. Because you have a think about it, and I know you're a paleo group, so you're totally going to get this. So think about back when we were cave people and we're living in caves. What would stress look like back then? Now, stress would probably take the form of something like a saber-toothed tiger at the mouth of the cave. That was stress back then. And so our adrenal glands are designed to pump out adrenaline and cortisol in response to that sort of stress, right? And then what happens is it gives us energy and power to actually either fight the saber-toothed tiger or to take flight and just get the hell out of there. So that's why, you know, some people would stay and fight, but some people would just run. But either way, it's the adrenals that are helping us to do that. Now, that's really awesome, right? And that's like amazing when you think about, you know, what a miracle that is and how efficient and how fast it is. But unfortunately, what happened along the way to between the caves and to now is that our primitive brains haven't actually caught up with the fact that not all stress is going to be that life-threatening. So say back then it was a saber-toothed tiger, now it's just different kinds of stress in varying degrees, okay? So now what we would actually have as stress might be a traffic jam or someone cutting you off on the highway or your mother-in-law calls or something like that. They're all little types of stress that happen. And what happens though is that our adrenals still pump out the same chemicals. So we're still getting that burst of adrenaline, we're still getting those stress hormones, but we don't actually use them to run or to fight, hopefully. So we usually just sort of internalize it and drive on or pick up the phone and be nice to people or whatever it is. We don't actually use those chemicals to go and run and to fight. So then they actually become quite toxic in our systems, don't they? So unfortunately, things like Facebook and staying up and watching bright screens and things, that also doesn't help, because, you know, when you're flicking through and you see dramas on TV or dramas on Facebook, it's still actually causing your body to release some adrenaline. So that's not always healthy either, unfortunately, but we all do it. So what are the effects of adrenal fatigue on the body? So this one we probably already know. Weight gain, it's a bit of a bugger. What happens is the adrenals pump out this cortisol. Cortisol tells our bodies to store the fat and to not let go. Okay, so it also messes with your blood glucose. So it actually helps to turn the glucose and the carbohydrates you eat into fat, and then it tells your body to store it, and it tells it not to let go at any cost, because it thinks you're in trouble. Remember, your body thinks that you're stressed, right? And it thinks that stress equals danger every time. It thinks stress is saber-toothed tiger. So what happens is your body's also going to crave sugar for energy and carbs, because your body thinks, if I just store lots of this as fat, then this is really good for in times of stress. So the next one is hormone imbalances. Yay. PMS and menopause are the big ones. And it is usually women, and adrenal fatigue is, you know, quite common in women. It is around in men. I have seen it in men, and I get asked more and more frequently, which is scary as well. But it is more common in women and has always been. And yeah, hormonal imbalances are a huge one. The production of extra cortisol may actually cause reproductive hormones like progesterone to drop. And then when you get those hormonal imbalances, that's when you get your PMS and your menopause. Yay. Low or high blood pressure. We all know that stress can lead to high blood pressure. That's a pretty common one. But adrenal fatigue can also contribute to low blood pressure. And you'll know if you've got low blood pressure, usually because your doctor thinks it's amazing. They take your blood pressure and they go, oh, you know, 100/70. Oh, that's good, because they know they don't have to worry. But then you go home and you bend over and you stand up and you get that head spin. Or, you know, if you're laying down and you jump up and you feel faint, that is one of the symptoms of low blood pressure. And yeah, it is related to adrenal fatigue. Poor immunity. I touched on this before in the quiz. People who catch colds and flus more frequently, you know, the ones who go, I just get everything that comes along. Or the people who get really stressed and busy, and when they're busy, that's when they get sick. Or even better, those people who are really, really busy and stressed all the time at work, and they finally book a holiday, and on their first few days of their holiday, they get sick. That can be a sign of adrenal fatigue, because it does mess with your immunity.
Hey, Jules, sorry to interrupt you. Just the slides aren't progressing along. That's still stuck on the first slide. So do you want to unshare it and then try and share it again and see if that makes any difference?
Yeah, totally. Hang on. Stop. So.
Hello.
Hello. I love technology. As you know, it's been my friend today, and by friend I mean not friend.
I know. And I said, if you don't mind, we might be able to send the slides out to everybody on the list, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have a, when you go share slides again, does it say and be the active presenter as well?
No, it doesn't.
Oh, okay. That might be only when I get it. So,
oh,
it looks like it's sharing something.
Yeah, it's not being my friend, is it?
Let's hope this isn't raising your cortisol levels.
No, on the phone to Big Pond this morning when my internet went out, that raised my cortisol levels. You might just have to look at my lovely face.
Ah.
There's worse things, right?
Yeah,
what are you seeing on your screen?
Right. Yeah, that's come back up now. So I'll stop talking and you talk, because then it'll come back up on the main screen.
And did it just go blank under the what happens to your body?
So no, it's still sitting on the first slide. I don't know if, can you manually bring the slide bar down to see if it goes past any of the slides?
No, not that I know of. Yeah, because it's allowing me to flick through the slides, but you're not seeing the flick. So I'm just going to stop sharing and you're going to see my lovely face. Hi.
Okay.
Yeah, that will have to do. Sorry about that. Okay, so we're up to insomnia and poor sleep. Cortisol levels are supposed to drop at nighttime, but if they stay high, then we can actually get a second wind. So if we're stressed and we've got adrenal fatigue, then what's going to happen is our cortisol is actually going to stay high in the evening. And just before bed, or just when you're getting ready for bed, then you get that peak of like that second wind. And you're like, oh my God, no, I'm not tired. Oh, I'll open Facebook and off you go. So even if you get a good night's sleep, another sign of, your adrenals being kind of on the slide is that you might actually get a good night's sleep, but you wake feeling more tired than ever. And yeah, that is something that can get worse and worse as the adrenal fatigue progresses. Thyroid disorders. I know there's a few people in this group that know all about this one. There's definitely a connection between adrenal fatigue and thyroid problems, and in particular hypothyroidism, and also your autoimmune thyroid issues. So yeah, Hashimoto's and adrenal fatigue, I think, are linked, and there is more evidence coming out to prove that is correct. And it's something that I see a lot in practice. You do see one thing leading to another, and that's why when I did put that quiz out before and I asked where you're at in on that scale, these are the sorts of things that you need to address the adrenal fatigue before these sorts of things happen. And if they have already happened, then they are a sign that you really need to sort of take control of this adrenal fatigue now. Headaches and back pain. Cortisol and adrenaline both cause our bodies to become more sensitive to pain. And they also deplete the body of things like magnesium. And magnesium is required to prevent things like muscle cramps and aches and tension. So muscle pain and especially tension headaches are, big indicators of adrenal fatigue. Hair loss is another one that, a lot of women will know about. They say, when I'm really stressed, my hair just starts coming out in clumps. That's not good. Our bodies don't absorb nutrients very easily when we're stressed. So remember I was talking about that fight or flight response and how our bodies prepare us for fighting the saber-toothed tiger or taking flight and being like the world's fastest runner. Well, in order to pump, things like blood and everything around the body to our leg muscles to run or to our arm muscles to fight, it has to actually take energy and blood flow away from organs that it deems to be less, shall we say, necessary. So basically the body only has a certain amount of energy, and so it prioritizes where it's going to put that energy. And so if you're constantly stressed, what will happen is your digestion may shut down or just slow down because it's deemed to be non-essential while you're, fighting your saber-toothed tiger, even if your saber-toothed tiger is just a traffic jam, in Brisbane. So, high cortisol levels can actually lead to gut dysfunction over time. And what can happen then is it can then lead to leaky gut as well. And that's when we start to see things like food allergies and intolerances. So that's the other indicator of adrenal fatigue, would be things like food intolerances where we didn't have them before. So does this sound like you? I suspect from that poll that we ran that it may sound a little bit like you. Obviously, burnout is a scary, scary thing. And the further, the longer you leave it, the longer road it is to get back, basically. So the further you travel down that road, the further you're going to have to actually, struggle to get back. But that's okay, because there is definitely a way to do it. It just takes a bit of time. So I've probably scared the pants off you all with the bad news already. So that's okay. Like, you know, I'm here to also give you some good news and to show you what you can do about this problem. So don't feel stressed. So if what I've told you so far is like added to your adrenal fatigue, don't let it, because there is definitely something you can do, and taking control of this will actually help to ease your stress levels about it as well. So first of all, there are medical tests we can do to see what's going on. And the one that's most common is the salivary hormone profile that tests for stress levels by measuring the amount of cortisol that's going on. And we do that it's like a saliva swab test. It's really easy to do. Okay, so that would be the one that I recommend. You can also get like hormone profiles done to see where your reproductive hormones are at, and you can do gut profiles as well. You can do stool tests to see what's going on with your gut. But the very, very first one I would recommend would always be the salivary hormone one for cortisol, because that just tells you where things are at right now. Secondly, what we need to do is take control. So clean eating. And I know, because this is, Brisbane Paleo family, that and nourishing conversations, that I am preaching to the choir, and I do love that because it makes my job so much easier. Gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free, paleo. It's not rocket science, is it? It's all the usual suspects. The gluten, the dairy, and the sugar, they're the ones that pop up all the time, aren't they? You can also do food intolerance testing to find out if there is anything else that's stressing your body, because sometimes, you take out the big guns, you take out the gluten, the dairy, the sugar, sometimes even the eggs can be a problem. But sometimes people still don't quite get better, and there's still something causing inflammation in their body. And that's when I recommend things like the IgG and the IgE antibody testing, which is just a blood test that you can get done at pretty much any pathology lab, with a referral from your either doctor or your naturopath. And you get that test done, and it will let you know if there are other foods that you're eating that are also stressing your body out. And I see some doozies as well. Like I've seen, and I shouldn't laugh because it's awful, but I've seen people who are allergic to cocoa, which is chocolate. I've seen people who are allergic to cranberries, banana. I had a pineapple one recently. So sometimes you take out the gluten, the dairy, the sugar, you eat paleo, and you still don't get a 100% turnaround. If you're not getting that turnaround to your satisfaction, then that's when we dig a bit deeper to make sure there's nothing else going on. The next thing we do is we increase your nutrient levels. This is where we start to supercharge your body back up so that we can actually start and, to let the healing begin, basically. So this is not just about what you remove from the diet, this treatment for adrenal fatigue. It's also about what you put back in. So we've taken out the stuff that's stressing our body, like, the gluten, the dairy, etc. What we need to do now is make sure that we put loads and loads of really good nutrients back in so that the healing can take place. Stress and adrenal burnout both take a toll on vitamins and mineral stores, and in particular our B vitamins, vitamin C and magnesium. They're the big three. Also, there's some other minerals like calcium. Iron is a big one in women. Zinc can be a big one as well. But B vitamins, vitamin C and magnesium, they would be the first ones that we need to look at. So you can look at supplements if you like, but you don't necessarily have to. We can look at things like juices, smoothies, superfoods, beautiful big salads. They all play a part here as well. And those of you who know me a little bit know that I'm really, really big on food is medicine. My background, before I had my JulesGalloway.com blog and before I began paleo health retreats down here in Byron Bay, I used to live in Melbourne, and the last job that I had in Melbourne was working for a vitamin company in their research and development area, and I also did a lot of training. So I did a huge amount of research over the last few years that I was in Melbourne into vitamins and minerals, and I understand where supplements are needed, and I understand why they're needed, and I do see the good in them. But I also see a lot of opportunities to use the food as medicine first before we take the vitamin pills, because I think a lot of people, and especially when I was living in Melbourne and I wasn't surrounded by farmers markets and, beautiful produce, there is that inclination to get just that little bit lazy, or that just too busy to go and get the food. And so you just like pop pill after pill after pill going, well, that's all right. I've still got my B vitamins, 50 milligrams, 150 milligrams B3, and I got 60 of B6, and I'll be fine. But unfortunately, it doesn't work like that, because most of those supplements are synthetic. And, the more research I did, the more I started to realize is that our body is only absorbing very, very minute amounts, and you're probably better off eating the food. Reducing chemicals in the home. Again, I think I would probably be preaching to the choir here when I say that we need to reduce our overall toxic load in our bodies in order to let that healing take place. So we need to give our liver the opportunity to do other functions. And if we're constantly, causing that barrage of chemicals from, the moment we get out of bed and we like shampoo our hair with dodgy shampoo and wash our bodies with dodgy soap, and then stick our hands in a sink full of dishes that have got dodgy chemicals in the suds, and on and on and on and on, and the air freshener in the car, and blah, blah, blah. And, by the time you've got to lunchtime, you've had so many chemicals already that you've been in contact with. Your liver is charging through them. But that means that your liver then isn't able to perform other duties like breaking down the hormones in the body. So you know how I said there's like essential and non-essential things going on in the body? If you've got lots of chemicals coming in, your liver sees breaking down those as being very essential, because otherwise they're damaging to the body. And so it puts the non-essential liver jobs to one side. And those non-essential liver jobs might be something like breaking down, the excess estrogens because our progesterone's low or something. And so you can see how we need to reduce our chemical load in order to let other areas of our body heal. Things like yoga. Yoga is the next one on our list. Gentle exercise is so very, very important. But if you are suffering from adrenal fatigue, I have been doing some research lately into really full-on, exercise, and I'm starting to wonder whether it's appropriate for people, especially if you've started to be in that sort of 7 to 9 category and above. If you're doing really full-on exercise that requires like running and jumping or danger even, because I know I go surfing, and I was just saying to Leah before that there's 2 different kinds of surfs I go for. Sometimes I go for just a nice gentle surf. But if I'm feeling good, then I'll go for one that's a bit more challenging in some bigger waves. But sometimes if my adrenals are a bit fried, like I know to go for the gentle surf, because, when you do something dangerous or something very energetic, your body's releasing adrenaline, and that can happen when you go for a very big run. And so sometimes things like walking and yoga, although they're not quite as exciting as some of the other exercises you can do, coming back to things like walking and yoga can be more nourishing for the body than doing something that really flogs it out. So yoga is actually proven to lower cortisol levels, but just, again, be, wary on the kind of yoga that you do. I used to be addicted to Bikram because it gave me a real buzz, but that buzz, that's partly coming from adrenaline. So if the adrenals are having to produce that adrenaline, you see that they're not actually getting a rest. And if not getting a rest, then that's not the kind of yoga for you. Okay. Meditation and mindfulness. A beautiful friend of mine called Dr. Rach, she has been promoting something called Mindful in May, and a few of you might have seen it kicking around on Facebook. I've seen a lot of people sharing it. That Mindful in May is a wonderful, wonderful concept, and I think they're still taking sign-ups up until Mother's Day as well. So hop online and just Google Mindful in May. It's a beautiful concept where you just spend 10 minutes a day doing a mindfulness meditation in order to get you into the habit of just stopping for 10 minutes a day and reflecting. So yeah, it goes without saying that meditation or mindfulness can really help to lower stress levels and can help us to cope with that everyday stress as well. We can't always stop stress from happening to us. I definitely couldn't stop my internet from crashing this morning, and I couldn't stop Telstra from handing me from one call centre to another and putting me on hold. So my stress levels started to go up and up and up. But what I should have remembered, and what we need to remember, is we can't stop that sort of stuff from happening to us, but we can change how we react, because in the end, it is our adrenals that are going to suffer. Okay? And I do know sometimes it is easier said than done, especially this morning when my husband was reminding me, aren't you teaching this to other people? Then why aren't you doing it yourself? Yes, thank you for reminding me. Now, this is a good one, the me time. This is the most important thing. And you know what? It's the hardest one. It is the hardest one. When is the last time you did something that was just for you? Like just for you, not for anyone else, not with the family, not with the friends, not with the mum, not with the hubby, not with the kids, just for you. Massage, yoga, reading a book, just even a lazy morning under the doona. I have a hammock out the back that even just 10 minutes in the hammock can make the whole day change. Just a note, just being devil's advocate here, Facebook is not me time. Screen time is not me time, okay? The bright screen keeps us in a constant state of alertness. You might think you're relaxing on Facebook, but all that constant scrolling and scrolling and flicking is actually stimulating your brain and in turn your adrenal glands. There are scientific studies now that show that we scroll and scroll and scroll until we find something that we like. And when we find something that we like, our brains release a little bit of dopamine. And dopamine is a chemical that makes you feel really good and warm and fuzzy and happy. And if we don't see something we like in time, you know, all that scrolling, oh, there's nothing good on Facebook today, and you keep scrolling, and all that scrolling starts to raise your stress levels. So if you don't find that little bit that gives you the dopamine in time, what you end up having is that release of adrenaline and cortisol into the body from all the scrolling. So yeah, we just need to slow that down a little bit. The other thing you can do for your adrenals is that I've actually created a new program to help get you back on track. It's called Shiny Healthy You, and you may have seen Leah mention it already on Facebook. Through my own journey back to health, and it's actually been a really long journey, I've discovered things that are really important to me and really important to my health. But overall, what I have found is that somewhere in our busy day-to-day lives, we've actually forgotten what it's like to feel good and what it's like to feel really alive and what it's like to feel actually happy. And we've forgotten all of this. We've begun to accept that substandard way that we feel as being normal, and we're dragging ourselves throughout our everyday life, just thinking that we feel all right, but it's not all right. It's a substandard way of living. We don't feel good anymore. And this has to stop. This really, really has to stop. Feeling tired and feeling crappy all the time is not normal. It's common, but just because something's common and just because everyone's got it doesn't make it right. It really doesn't. There is a better way to live. It is within your reach. I can show you how. I've been a qualified naturopath for over 10 years, and I can happily say that I've experimented on myself and then treated lots of patients, but I've tried just about every pill, every potion, every supplement out there to heal myself. But in the end, it all boiled down to this: good food, less toxins, an improved mindset, and a little bit more exercise. That was it. It wasn't really that hard after all. So that's why I've created this program for you. It's more of a reminder about what you need to get back to and a way to motivate you to get back to it. It's not going to be anything groundbreaking that you've never heard before, but it's going to be given to you in a way where you can actually get back on that horse and stay motivated this time. And because you made it through to the end of this webinar, woohoo, I'd like to offer you a 20% discount, and Leah will pop that up. There is a code that you put in when you go to the Shiny Healthy You page on my website. When you go to pay, you just put in Brisbane Paleo, and that will get you 20% off, and we'll do that for the next 24 hours. So you can sign up via julesgalloway.com. You'll see a tile in the right-hand sidebar for Shiny Healthy You on my website, and then you just sign up using your Brisbane Paleo code. Now, hopefully I've left us a little bit of time. And let's see if I can get back to...
I'll go through the questions for you, if you like.
There's been a few. Hang on. Oh, I've got group chat up. Is that good? Q&A.
We've got Q&A, but I'll go back through some of the comments for you anyway, and we'll So, just going back through, lots of people were saying, yeah, they were agreeing with you as you were going through some of the symptoms there. Confession time, I think I answered 12 out of 12, but I've actually been diagnosed with the adrenal fatigue. So,
yeah.
I think, so Astrid just wanted you to go back through the tests again, if you could just go back through those quickly. So there was the saliva test.
Yeah, the one that I recommend the most often is just the salivary hormone profile, and get them to test for cortisol. That's what you want to know. Cortisol's the thing that changes the fastest. So if I actually had a client at our paleo retreat in November, and she's actually been getting her cortisol tested every month since then. And we actually saw it. She had it done in October before she came, and then she had it done in November just after the retreat, and it actually significantly dropped. And then Christmas came along and she wasn't too bad. But then right in that midst of all organising and all the Christmas stuff, I think just sort of the next one she had done, it had gone up slightly again. So cortisol is a really, really good indicator, because it seems to change very quickly and respond very quickly, whether you're doing something that raises your cortisol or whether it drops your cortisol. It is a really good barometer, that one. So that's your salivary hormone profile.
That's the one I actually had done. And just a funny story out of that, well, probably not so funny, but I had my little vials that I had to put my saliva into. And at one stage during the day, I was so busy, I'd forgotten that I needed to spit into my little vial. And here I am on my way to pick up school, driving the car after just rushing around from one thing to the other, trying to spit into this little vial. And I just thought, this is ridiculous. This is why I have this problem, because I can't even spend 5 minutes to stop and spit into the vial to get my levels tested. This has just got to stop.
If you got no time to spit, woman, then you got no time to recover.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, let's go.
That was like a big wake up for me, because I was just like, I can't go on like this. This is stupid. Even, to that level, doing that. Like I've got to really do something about it before it gets worse for me.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Because I mean, and it doesn't happen to everyone, and I don't want to scare the pants off everyone, because that's not really my aim for tonight. But you do have to be realistic and go, my body is this functioning machine. It's this beautiful piece of equipment that works very synergistically, and it's a miracle in itself. But it is incredibly hard to kill a human being. But over time, if we chip away at it, what you're doing is staring chronic illness in the face. And I'd hate it to be something that you can't reverse. I'd hate you to look back and go, geez, I wish I'd pulled my head in sooner, because I didn't know it was going to cause, X, Y, or Z. And, like I said, it doesn't happen to everyone. And some people have got very, very strong constitutions. But one of the things they taught us in college, when we were becoming naturopaths, is that sometimes the people with the strong constitutions who don't get sick very often, they're the ones who suddenly get something really, really massive that, is irreversible, because you don't always get the warning signs when you have a strong constitution. You think that you're invincible. I can work, I can work 13 hours a day, 6 days a week. I never get sick. It's awesome. But then suddenly they get really sick with something quite major, and that's because their body didn't have an early warning activation system, really. There's no early warning system. There's no red flags. Whereas other people who I actually think are the lucky ones, they get colds and flus when they get stressed. I know, if I'm burning the candle at both ends, I can expect to get a big coldy, flu-y type number at the end of it all. And so what I've grown to realize is that those people are actually the lucky ones, not the ones who never get sick. The people who do get sick are the lucky ones, because we then have to stop, right? We then actually have to down tools and go to bed for a few days and recover. So unfortunately, the people with the very strong constitutions who don't have the early warning system, they're the ones who often come a cropper in the end.
That's so true.
Yeah. So those of you who get sick easily out there, next time you get sick, just go, yeah, my early warning system, it's working. It's so good.
Okay. So There was just a comment from Dan. He was just saying he started wearing a night mask to help him with the sleep, which is he's thanking me for that. I started wearing a mind mask, sorry, a sleep mask at night, and yeah, that's really helped too. Having none of those artificial lights coming in through the window, that type of thing.
Have you done that orange? Have you seen those orange glasses that people are wearing?
Yeah, I've seen those glasses before, but yeah, I haven't tried them. But I've got the F-Lux on the all the computers and stuff which dims the lights on the computer.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
So Rebecca says, what are the best ways to increase magnesium levels? Are Epsom salt baths good?
Epsom salt baths, in my opinion, are really good at getting magnesium through the skin to the muscles, if that's where your problem is. So they do, especially that magnesium chloride salt, rather than the magnesium sulfate, which is the Epsom salt that you get at the just at your normal pharmacy. If you go to the health food shop, you'll get the magnesium chloride, and that's supposed to get through that, it's got this transdermal way of getting into the body much easier. And that's great for relaxing anything that's kind of running along the surface, like, the muscles and things. But that's not the only place we need magnesium. Like, our heart needs magnesium, like our internal organs need magnesium. We've got muscles deep within our body that need magnesium to run. Our digestive system has loads of muscles in it, like, that peristalsis, that peristaltic action that moves all the poo along in your body. That peristaltic action is caused by muscles. They need magnesium. Your uterus needs magnesium to prevent period pain. So I don't believe that those Epsom salt baths draw enough magnesium into the body to service all of those internal organs. I think they're great for stuff that's near the surface, like a neck ache or a muscle ache or something. If I've got a sore neck or a sore back, or if I'm a bit sore from doing too much exercise, I think they're wonderful. But I do think we need to take some sort of magnesium internally to service those organs that are right on the inside, and things like the nervous system where you need it most. So yeah, I do recommend, obviously, like I said, food is medicine. So you're looking at things like almonds again, and all the beautiful magnesium-rich foods, lots of green leafy veggies and things. But yeah, sometimes a good quality magnesium supplement can be helpful too, like a magnesium amino acid chelate type one.
Great. So Astrid says she takes L-glutamine and she's wondering what a good dose would be.
Oh, come on. I need to go get my books from over there. Off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you, but I could probably get back to you, because they do change their recommendations every couple of years. And so I always refer to, the current standards before I get back to people on that stuff.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And there's also, there's one here from Erica as well, which I'm not sure you'll be able to answer, but she's just saying she's been to doctor after doctor, naturopath, spent thousands of dollars and felt like she's gotten nowhere. She gets severe pain from the chest down, nausea, dizziness, digestive issues, and she's so unwell constantly to the point she can't go anywhere or do anything enjoyable, and she's just not sure what to do anymore.
Had she had food intolerance testing? That would be the first thing. Absolutely the first thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Erica, go and get tested for everything under the sun in terms of food allergies and intolerances. And like I said, sometimes the food intolerances can be for something that's really weird and unusual. So I usually test my clients for 99 different Western foods, but there are Asian food profiles if you tend to, be culturally like eating more Asian food. There are ones where you can test for 200 foods and 400 foods. They cost an absolute bomb. But if you suspect the problem is with food, then you can do more in-depth food intolerance testing as well. The average food intolerance test is for 99 foods, and it does cost sort of between $350 and $450, depending on where you get it and who you get it through. But then, if you want to do 200 foods, it costs you, a fair bit more, like 50% more. And if you want to do 400 foods, then it's like $800 or something ridiculous like that. And that's the wholesale price. Like, I never, ever put money on top for my food intolerance testing. I do it at cost because it's already so ridiculously high, cost for people to have to shoulder. But yeah, that would be the first thing. There are, there are a lot of other tests that naturopaths can do. I'm not sure because I don't know which naturopaths you've been to and what they've looked for. But you can do, there are other tests as well that you can do for different conditions these days to see what's going on. But yeah, food, a good old elimination diet as well. That, that would be the next step. Yeah. Sorry, but that's the only answer I can give without sitting down for an hour and a half and asking lots of questions.
No, that's good. Lynn asks, how does Shiny Healthy You work? So you might want to go through a bit about that. I saw the Merrymaker sisters are someone that you interviewed, so that's pretty cool. And
yeah. So Shiny Healthy You starts this coming Monday. It's a 12-week program, and every week you receive 3 videos from me. And the first video of the week will be a lovely informative video, just me chatting, a bit like what you've had tonight, not quite as long, but yeah, it'll definitely be something to do with fatigue or energy and getting back to health. The second video of the week will be an interview with one of my resident experts, and the Merrymaker sisters are, they're one of my weekly experts. I've also got a personal trainer, yoga teacher, I've got a meditation expert, I've got a life coach, I've got a doctor, all kinds of amazing, amazing people. I'm so blessed to have had them all say yes. I'm absolutely stoked. And so that's the second interview of the week. And then the third video of the week is the cooking show, which is the most fun one for me to make, where we get into the kitchen and I teach you how to make stuff. So that one's really fun. You also get to join a community where we have a private Facebook group and a private Pinterest board. So we'll be sharing plenty in there. There's also heaps of resources that you'll find when you join, like, lists of paleo and non-paleo foods, shopping lists, what else, of food planners. But the best thing is the recipe bank. There's a recipe bank in there with over 60 recipes. And in fact, the 60 recipes should be up by Monday. And then just quietly, I'm planning on adding a fair few every week on top of that because I suddenly decided that 60 wasn't enough.
Well, that's great because your recipes are amazing. And I love how you incorporate raw food into a lot of your stuff as well. So
yeah. So most of the recipes are paleo. There might be a couple that aren't, but I'll always give you a paleo option. I'm an 80-20 paleo person myself. I go 100% paleo when I find that my health is struggling a little bit, or if I'm very stressed or very under the pump, that's when I'll go 100%. But I usually eat 80-20 paleo, and I sneak a little bit of rice in there here and there. So the 20% is always good stuff. But yeah, so what I've done is I've put in mostly paleo meals, and all of them will have a paleo option anyway. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. Recipe creation is my favorite thing, and that's why it's such a huge part of the program. And yeah, I can't wait to share them all with everyone and get lots of feedback too.
Yum.
Yay.
Yay. So I've just got another question from Sarah. She's just saying, if adrenal fatigue affects digestive function, does this impact gut absorption of essential nutrients needed to improve adrenal fatigue? And 2, is there any way to assist this?
Yeah. Yeah. Did you see me nodding? Yes. Oh my God. It is a vicious cycle. So yeah, when you're stressed, your digestion doesn't work as efficiently as it should, and it starts to shut down. And then when it starts to shut down, then you don't absorb your food, the nutrients from your food. And when you don't absorb the nutrients from your food, then that can actually further impact on your ability to digest the food. And so it goes around and around and around. And yeah, sometimes the ones that fall by the wayside are the ones like magnesium, zinc, iron, calcium. And as I was saying before, magnesium is needed for so many functions in the body, but it is really needed to help to solve the adrenal fatigue problem, and it calms the nervous system and it relaxes the muscles and it helps with hormone balance. So and magnesium is one of the ones that we tend to not absorb when our digestion's not functioning perfectly. There's you know, the short-term fix, of course, is to pump supplements in. And having worked for a vitamin company, like I said, that's like, you know, the staple for a lot of people. But I do believe that we need to really get into the gut and make sure we do everything to maintain an equilibrium of really good bacteria. You know, lots and lots of fermented foods, lots of nourishing foods, you know, taking a slightly Ayurvedic perspective to it. My good friend Shara, who's my yoga expert in Shiny Healthy You, she's also an Ayurvedic practitioner, and we have beautiful long conversations about food and, you know, how when it comes to autumn, she says no green smoothies, but instead you have beautiful root vegetable soups and things. So making sure that you nourish your digestion with what it needs, not just according to, you know, what's going on sort of in you, but what's going on in your environment and around, and eating seasonally as well. But yeah, we really have to look at maximizing the nutrition that we eat, like it's in supercharging, you know, everything we eat. I'm always throwing superfoods in everything. I'm always adding berries to everything. I'm adding nuts here. I'm being as high raw as I can be, but then putting a steak next to it. So I do think that a lot of people, when they embark on a paleo diet, they sometimes go, oh my God, steak and eggs and steak and eggs and steak and eggs, and they forget to add lots of beautiful green veggies, because like anything, you can have a healthy or an unhealthy paleo diet. That's completely up to you. But someone who eats steak and eggs and steak and eggs and steak and eggs and some sweet potato, they can call themselves paleo. But then someone else can have like fruit and veggies and lots of greens and nuts and seeds and some steak and some eggs and some fish and some chicken, you know, and you know which one's going to be healthier. So making sure that you've got lots of beautiful, nourishing, you know, whole foods coming in that are really high in nutrients, I think is paramount.
Great. And Coraline just says, would incorporating water kefir be of assistance for gut health, thus absorption?
Yes. Yeah, water kefir, I'd almost rather you eat sauerkraut, and that's just my gut feeling, and no pun intended. But getting late. That's it, cut. Look, the issue that I have with kefir and kombucha is that you have to add sugar to it to get it going. And even though a lot of people will tell you that the bacteria in the kefir and the kombucha then eat up all the sugars and there's no sugar left in there, it's fine. But, you know, I've looked at the labels on a lot of the, you know, a lot of those products, and there's still sugar in there. It doesn't magically disappear into a puff of thin air. It's still in the product. So yes, it may be better for you than, well, yes, it's definitely better for you than a soft drink. But yes, there are still sugars in there as well. And if you've got sugar coming into the body, then you're more likely to tip that balance of good and bad bacteria into the more bad category with the proliferation of things like candida, etc. So the sugars and the carbs will definitely feed the candida, and then you're still on the back foot. So you're better off eating something like fermented veggies, which are created without the use of sugar as a starter culture to activate the starter culture.
Yeah, and for those in Brisbane, we've got an intro to fermentation coming up on the, I think it's the 18th of May. I think I just put the link up. You just go to SoulFit, and it's only $25, and we're doing sauerkraut, and we're doing bone broth, and we're actually doing kombucha and kefir as well. Because I agree with you, a lot of the store-bought kombuchas and stuff do have a lot of sugar still in them, and that's why I always like to brew my own. Yeah.
Yeah, like you read the labels and you're like, what? You know, it's like the new iced tea. Like everyone goes, oh, iced tea, that's healthy. And you go, oh, it's got 27 grams of sugar in one bottle. Oh my God. And yeah, I think it's like that. And people go, oh, I drank this kombucha and I felt really amazing straight away. It's like, that was the sugar, mate.
Well, I know my son, there's a particular brand that's very raspberry flavored, and as soon as he drinks that, he is off the Richter scale, and I just know it's absolutely full of sugar, that one. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Astra's just said, what about taking a probiotic? Would that be a good idea? She said Inner Health Plus.
Yep, absolutely. But again, you know, with my philosophy that food is medicine and that we should always try food first, I'm definitely a fan of including things like fermented veggies as well, rather than just relying on a pill. But in a lot of cases, if our digestion is on the back foot and we do have an imbalance of gut bacteria that's, that's quite hefty, then yeah, the things like Inner Health Plus can help to get the party started in terms of getting those good bacteria back in to set up camp. There are better brands. Like Inner Health Plus is pretty good. It's made by Health World, which also makes Metagenics, which some of you who've been to a naturopath, you'd know of Metagenics. There are other brands. I personally prefer Nutrition Care as my favorite brand of probiotic. I've just had the best results with that. They've got one that's got like 8 different strains of bacteria, where Inner Health Plus I think only has 2 or 3. Also Bioceuticals do a good one that's a multi-strain as well, that's got a few extra strains in there. And again, it depends on what's caused your gut dysfunction in the first place. There are different types of probiotics out there for different purposes, and that's why sometimes it can be good to go and have a chat with a naturopath. You might not need a consultation with the naturopath that sits in the consulting rooms. You don't necessarily have to do that. Just find yourself a good health food shop that's got a good naturopath and a good range of product. We quite often used to recommend, when I worked in health food retail years and years ago, we used to recommend different products for different reasons, and we'd only have to ask a few simple questions to find out, like, have you been on the pill? Have you had gastro? Have you had a parasite recently? If you've had a parasite in the last few years, then that could be a slightly different type of probiotic that we recommend. So if you find yourself a good health food shop with a trusty practitioner in there who's well versed on that sort of stuff, then it can be really helpful to pinpoint the right product for you.
That's great. Erica was just saying she might need to find a different naturopath, and someone's posted one in Brisbane, but you do Skype consults too, don't you?
Yeah, and if you just head to my website at julesgalloway.com, there is, in that top menu bar, there's a little bit that says consultations. Just click on that.
I'll just I'll pop your link up again. We had it up before, just in case anyone needs it. So I think we might start ending it here, because it's 9 o'clock now, and people are probably going to need to get off the line, and some people have to go and get their bubs to bed, which is a good idea. So thanks everyone for joining us, and thanks Jules so much. I just found that so interesting, and like heaps of information. Even though I've been doing my own research, there's still so much in there, so thank you.
You're welcome. And look, sometimes you just need to have someone hold up a mirror and shine it back to you, because you already know all the answers. You need it to you again.
And that's great. And if people want to know more about your program or have any questions about it, I've added you into the Brisbane Paleo group, so they can just tag you if they want to, or they can just send you an email or a message. There's a contact form on your website, and I've put your website up on the message for everyone to see.
Cool. Thank you so much. And thanks for having me.
Thank you. Well, thanks, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this nourishing conversations, and we might get Jules back again, I reckon, because this was so much fun. But awesome. we're going to try and do these regularly, about once a month, getting guest speakers to come in. So stay tuned in the group, and we'll let you know when the next one is. Thanks, everyone.